cleared for takeoff. Confirm Harbor 13000. Square 909, approach hello, go ahead.
Testing 1-2, radio check.
7909, approach hello, go ahead. So 909, Roger, standby 1. So 909, clearance.
Okay, radio check is good.
Harbor 1 departure for 31, vectors to
Make sure we
Verde,
connect here.
Further correction, so 909 read back to QNH 1008, call for push.
Okie dokes. Let's get this show on the road. Let's get the APU on and on our
909
way.
push start approved, November face out.
Fuel pumps coming on.
358, no further ATCs, monitor advice 3122 decimal links here.
122 decimal links to the right 358. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Sure. Astro 425, approach hello, clearance ready. Actually, Astro 425, confirm we're taking runway 31 or 24.
Alright, let's do our briefing here.
425, Roger, standby 1.
There will be a right seat departure today. Got ATIS Charlie here, weather's good. 3604 broken, 2000 cumulonimbus. Temperature 340.24, altimeter, or QNH 1007.
Roger, complete climb flight level 250 at Harbor.
We'll plan to push back tail south,
heading 060.
facing north on Delta.
Right turn heading 060 after Harbor.
Taxi to runway 02 via Delta, right turn on Foxtrot 5. Right turn onto Golf, and a left turn onto Foxtrot 7, holding short of runway 02.
Astrofield 425, cleared, Katiklan, Harbor.
No, we can't use Foxtrot 7 because of the restrictions on a chart says
Squawk 4041.
Fox 7 between Alpha and Delta open only to wide-body aircraft with less than 4 engines, so we can't take Fox 7, but we can take Delta, Fox 5, Golf, and Fox 7. Nice long dry runway available, 10,499 feet available for takeoff. Planning flaps 10 departure. Any abnormalities prior to V1 will reject for engine failure, engine fire warning, predictive wind shear, or if the airplane is not going to fly. V1 and above, we're committed to flight. I'll fly the airplane. We'll take it airborne, treat it as an in-flight emergency. I'll handle the aircraft, as well as the checklist and ATC, since it is single pilot. And no
Call stations, Manila QNH now 1007.
no single engine out procedure, so we're going to plan on just flying the SID if we have an issue. We've got Clark, Pampanga, Philippines, REPAT 4, Romeo, RMP departure off of runway 02, page 10-3 Foxtrot, dated March 28th, 2025. Transition altitude is flight level 110. It's climbing straight out off runway 02, heading 024 to 3000 on a right turn, direct to Pangs, at or above 5000, max 250 knots, with the mountain there off to the left side, 3475 being our highest obstacle. Minimum safe altitude is 8300, then morph and repat at or above 7. In the event of a radio communications issue, we'll set 7600 and just fly the SID. But we'll plan on flying it LNAV, VNAV, all the way up. Any questions? Let's reset that. Alright, 11,000. didn't set that up correctly, so VNAV 11000. There it is. Alright, and I already briefed all the fixes in here, so we're good to go all the way to Bangkok, but we brief everything in there. Make sure it was in accordance with what's on the ND as well. But okay, we got the AP rolling, so let's disconnect the ground power. Go back to menu, ground handling. We do have the parking brake set, so ground power. Before we disconnect, connect the bus, APU Gen 1. Now we'll disconnect ground power. Let's close all the doors. Close, close. And we'll remove chocks. V-speeds today is, again, flaps 10. V1 is 119, VR 121, V2 142. We have that set here. And initial heading is 024, initial altitude 11,000. Once we get the clearance, we'll just put in what they give us.
Roger, no further ETC 122.08. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
We'll say we're clear to pressurize. Let's go ahead and pressurize the hydraulic pumps. Alright, and we'll go ahead and get this set up here for pushback, as it will be tail south. Okay, so that's good. Alright, ready to pick up clearance, here we go. Manila Giant 7581 Heavy is ready to pick up IFAR clearance for Bangkok. We have ATIS Charlie.
Giant 7581 approach hello, thanks for Charlie, clearance ready.
Giant 7581 ready, copy.
Giant 7581 cleared Bangkok, REPAT for Romeo departure, runway 02 as filed. Climb flight level 150 initially, squawk 6526.
Alright, Giant 7581 cleared to destination REPAT for Romeo departure off runway 02, then as filed, initial altitude flight level 150, squawk 6526.
Giant 7581 heavy read, correct, Clark QNH 1007, call push.
Okay, call for push, Giant 7581. Alright, 6526. 6526, TARA is in there. And that is that's everything that we have in the box. We'll set our initial altitude, flight level 150.
Golf 14 Delta, hold short function 5.
Alright, beacon's on.
Yankee Golf 14.
Let's go ahead and connect the Gen 2 as well. Okay.
7909 taxi Delta, hold short Golf 14.
Delta, hold short Golf 14, 7939.
Let's get the pushback vehicle in position first. Once they're in position, then we can request pushback.
So 9093 revise right, Golf 12 left.
Okay, aircraft, this will be a 3-person wireless headset push.
Make sure everything upstairs is set. It is.
7909, apologies, right, Golf 13 left Delta.
Right, Golf 13 left Delta, 3939.
Shuffle 425, Harbo 13000, runway 31, clear for takeoff.
Harbo 3000, Harbo departure runway 31, clear for takeoff. Shuffle 425.
7901, Delta, hold short, Foxtrot 5.
The short Fox 5 is the 939.
Alright, once they're ready to go, we'll rock and roll. Minimum fuel is 38.3, we have 38.3. Minimum takeoff is going to be 37.5.
Super 508.
Super 508, approach hello, good.
Super 508, San 123, Airbus 320, we have Charlie, cross clearance 2, Tugigaraw, Festival 250, runway 24.
Super 508, thanks for Charlie, clearance ready.
2 Gigaraw.
Super 508.
That's where my girlfriend
Super
lives.
508, cleared to Gagaraw. Expect radar vectors, Cabana 21, runway 24 as filed. Climb 4000 initially, runway heading on departure. Squawk 4051.
Roger, Super 50 is cleared, Tugigaraw, Cabana 21, then as filed. Radar vectors, runway heading climb 4000, 4051 for the squawk, Super 508.
08, read back correct, QNH 1007, call push.
Tapos ready, Super 508, thank you.
Manila Giant 7581's stand 12 ATIS Charlie, ready for pushback and startup.
Giant 7581, push start approves, face southwest.
Push start approve. Any chance we could face northeast due to the restriction on Foxtrot 7?
Apologies, Roger. Push start approved on Delta, face northeast.
Push start approved on Delta, face northeast, Giant 7581, thanks. Okay, we're good to go. Brakes are ready. Release. Oops, I guess they weren't set.
7909, Harbor 1 3000, runway 31, clear for takeoff.
Harbor 1, climb 3000, runway 31.
Okay, we'll wait until... We'll fire up 4 and 1 here in a sec.
Russia 4425, approach identified. Continue climb flight level 210, turn left now heading 240.
Climb 210, left 240, Cebu for Ashton.
Alright, here comes 4 and 1. Auto start.
Russia 4425, left turn, direct ready, high speed approved.
Left turn, high speed approved. Ashton parking back.
Okay, we got good N2 EGT and 1 rising. Oil pressure. Starter cutout is already done. Just a tad bit earlier than it does in the real plane. But we'll let it stabilize first around 65% N2. There it is. Alright, here comes 2 and 3.
Super 909, approach identified. Continue climb flight level 190, passing 2000, turn left heading 240.
Passing 2000 left 240, climb level 190, Cebu 909.
Okay, N2 is rising. We got EGT and N1 rotation. Oil pressure. Disconnect. We've got at least 2 good starts, so we'll go ahead and let the ground crew go.
Seven 909, left turn direct Verde, high speed approved.
Verde, nice.
Okay, Joe Barton, bypass to remove. Have a good one, guys.
They have a U.S. Southern accent here in the Philippines. It's funny. Okay, we got good starts on all four. Clear to disconnect. Thanks for your help. APU coming off. Looking for 3 guys, the pin and the bag. There they are. Simulate that. There's at least one guy. He's got the bypass pin in the comm box. Simulated, of course. Alright, standing by flaps. Flaps 10 degrees. Flaps 10. Control check. Make sure I didn't miss anything up here. Triple check everything. Right here, I've already missed this. Alright, packs 1, 2, and 3 are norm. Okay, we're ready to taxi. Let's go ahead and release. And Manila Giant 7581 ready to taxi. 8 is Charlie.
Giant 7581, runway 02, taxi Foxtrot 5, Golf, Foxtrot 7, hold short, runway 02.
Runway 02, taxi Foxtrot 5, Golf, Foxtrot 7, holding short, runway 02, Giant 7581. Taxi light on. And we're empty, so it shouldn't take a whole lot of power to get this thing rolling. Alright, Foxtrot 5, Golf, Foxtrot 7.
Shabu 508, San 123, ready for push and start, runway 24.
2508, push and start approved, November face out.
Push approved, November face
So
out.
this is what this
2508.
means. Here we go. Delta, Foxtrot 5, Golf, Foxtrot 7.
UJ6325, approach your go ahead.
Approach 2325 at that 117 requesting clearance due to further process information Charlie on board.
UJ6325, thanks for Charlie, clearance ready.
Early copy, 6325.
6325, cleared
Alright,
the
Foxtrot
process,
5 coming up.
Expect radar
See
vector
the sign?
Vocal, runway 24 as filed. Climb 4000 initially, runway heading on departure. Squawk 4247.
Say again, sir. You're cutting out.
Alright, we're clear left and clear right. Going right.
6325, you're cleared to Puerto Princesa. Expect radar vectors Vocal, runway 24 as filed. Climb 4000 initially, runway heading on departure.
We're just gonna jet blast the
Squawk 4247.
fire station. Alright, we're on Foxtrot 5 now. We're gonna continue Foxtrot 5, make a right turn onto
4000 on the heading upon departure. Squawk 4247.
Golf.
6325, read back correct, QNH 1007, call push.
1007 is push.
Sherfield 425, no further ETC, monitor advisory 122 decimal 8, love you.
Advisory 112 decimal 75, bye-bye.
Roger.
I love you. Alright, so we're crossing Alpha, which is not the add-on I have, unfortunately. But here's Alpha. There it is, sorry. Here's Alpha. We're crossing Alpha, clear left, clear right. And continuing to... This is supposed to be Golf, but it ain't gonna look like it in the sim, but that's okay.
Giant 7581, run ready, service winds 180 degrees, 12 knots, runway 02, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 02, Giant 7581.
7909, no further ETC, monitor advisory 122 decimal 8, love you.
122 decimal 8.
Alright, clear left, clear right, going right. We still got a taxi full length, so. But we're going to turn the auto throttle arm that. I got to get a Clark add-on, because this is not looking pretty. That's okay. X-plane is not meant to look pretty. It's supposed to be more so for flight characteristics. Alright, left turn on Foxtrot 7. Clear right. Clear left, going left. A little bit of precip going on.
Station calling static.
Okay. Let's get the lights on. Captain's flows. FO lights. Alright, clear left. Clear right, clear for takeoff. Runway 02 verified.
Cebu 508 across taxi.
Cebu 508 runway 24 holding point Hotel 1 taxi November
That's
Charlie.
70%.
Taxi Hotel 1 via November
Alright,
Charlie.
set.
Cebu
Takeoff
508.
thrust 100.8. Alright, we'll just call it thrust set. 100 knots cross check.
V1. Okay,
Too low, flaps.
So J6325 pass after passing company
Telegraph,
Airbus
please.
A320 right to left push start approved November face up.
Not sure why we got the jip whiz on departure. LNAV engage. LNAV VNS speed. Runway heading to
Giant 7581 Manila approach identified. Continue climb flight level 2. Correction, climb via flight level 250.
climb via SID flight level 250, Giant 7581. Set. Oops, airplane's turning. Correcting. 3,000 feet, starting the right turn. Ups 5. And remember we're maxed to 250. Flaps 1. Flaps up after takeoff checklist. Alright. Slower aileron movements, please. backside off. Do the command center, autopilot center. See if the autopilot doesn't go haywire. Okay, so far so good. Still restricted to 250, so I'm gonna pull this out until pings. Okay, now we're good actually. Disregard.
10,000.
10,000 feet. Yeah, I hope the autopilot's working so far, so. Alright, 11,000 feet, standard is set. Hey, stereo cockpit is eliminated now, we're good. Right or above 10 now. But we're talking with Manila, flying the REPAT 4 Romeo departure off of 02. Got a nice tailwind right now. Well, not nice, but a tailwind. But I'm going to increase the speed here. 350. Let's recycle the heading bug.
Giant 7581 right there, direct C-lag.
Right direct C-lag, said Giant 7581. C-lag. Correct. How's that look? Cross check, make sure it looks good. Alright, we're still in LNAV, so now we can make a right turn. Okay, I don't know why we're leveling off. Alright, I'm taking the autopilot off. I'm gonna hand fly this.
Squawk 4020.
Oh, look at that lightning, that was cool.
76 feedback, track unit 1007, and call for push. 76, call for push.
180.
Bicycle 508, runway heading 4000, runway 24, surf cycle.
Lights come out.
Runway heading 4000, thank you for takeoff, runway 24, super 508. GTI6325, runway 24, holding point Hotel 1, taxi November, turn. Hotel 1, taxi November, turn.
See if the autopilot's good now. Let's see. 122 decimal 8 giant 7581. We'll see you. Alright, continue climb to 340. Look at this climb rate, this is cool. Alright, 22.8. It's kind of crazy because we're climbing out it. We're overspeeding. Actually, we're not supposed to be overspeeding because yeah. But I'm gonna hand play this. But it's kind of crazy because when I jump seated from Honolulu to Hong Kong on this particular carrier, we were doing like 4,500 feet a minute. It's kind of crazy. Just because we were empty. Actually, wide damper, yep. Okay, I'm gonna go command R. We're about to level off. Oh, too much. Way too much. Alright, we got one to go. 33 for 34. I'm going to keep hand flying it for now. It's weird because sometimes this airplane does really well with the autopilot, sometimes it doesn't, so. Alright, let's go command R. Alright, let's get the speed up. Alright, this looks better. Here's my seat. When I jump seat, I take this seat. As long as they're cool with it. Sometimes this one. Okay, we're on our way. Used to the left side, that's why. Weather radar should have been on already. Check the weather in Bangkok. Sign in first, brood. Okay, ATIS. Two-zero left, still in use. Flight transition level 130, flight level 130. Guitar. Okay, QNH 1009. I'll plug that into the standby here. There it is. 1009. But the release calls for Mach point 895 all the way there, so fast. We're just gonna do 89. So the Boeing 747 freighter, or sorry, just the Boeing 747-400 has a maximum operating Mach of 0.9 or 2. So technically we can go all the way up to 0.9 or 1. That'd be right on the envelope, but could happen. Let's try 90. Or let's try 91 actually and see what happens. See if the airplane struggles to get up to that, which it won't because super light. 536 knots ground speed.
Probably never see 9-1, but could the airplane do it? Absolutely. Alright, approach. We're going to do flaps 25 coming in later. Fix. VTBS. Touchdown projected at 8:05 Zulu, 2 hours from now. Yeah, just because of the buffer here, so I'm going to back this off to 90. It likes that a lot better. So. But because of how light we are, our econ is optimum is 411. And then econ speed, this airplane doesn't simulate that, unfortunately. Econ would be probably closer to 0.8123, somewhere around there. Maybe even a little bit less, actually, because of how light we are. Anyways, game plan. I'm going to brief the arrival just because we have the time and I'd rather do it now. Anyways, we've got Bangkok, Thailand. We're going to be doing the Tumga 1 Charlie arrival 20 left. Page 20-2, effective October 2nd. For the transition level of flight level 130. No significant remarks. DULEM, compulsory reporting point. Gomes, compulsory reporting point again. Tumga, at or below flight level 180, max 280 knots. East ram, at or below 11,000. BS521, at or below 11,000. BS520 between 9 and 11. Move up at max 220 knots. BS501. S-Jet at above 5,000 and a heading of 015. This video arrival, we cross-checked all the fixes, of course. Which it does match. It does match because I checked it before with those. There it is. I'm keeping the discontinuity because of this vector off there, heading is 015. And this is for the ILS 20 left. So if we wanted to review the lost comms as well. Set aircraft transponder in the mode of lost comms to 7600, proceed according to the star route to the transition point S-Gen, descend in accordance with published hull speed. With the published
all speed and altitude restrictions of the relevant STAR procedure fence after passing SGen flight heading 015, maintain 6,000 feet. Okay, so it says here on the chart 5,000, but LOSCOM is saying 6. So maintain 6,000 feet for the next 10 nautical miles, then left turn, descend to 1600 to carry out the appropriate approach procedure. So after SGen, heading 015 for 10 nautical miles, then left turn to descend to 1600. When an arriving aircraft is being redirected, if no transmissions are heard on frequency and used for a period of 2 minutes, a radio frequency check is to be made. If the radio frequency check indicates a radio communication failure, pilot should proceed in the most direct manner possible to rejoin the STAR procedure appropriate to his ATS route and landing direction that comply with the procedures in item 2 above, which is this. So that is the game plan that they want you to follow coming in the event of a LOSCOM's procedure. There is a warning here after SGen, maintain 015 as directed by ATC. Do not proceed instrument approach procedure without clearance. Okay. And I just put a green line so that we know which transition we're flying, DULEM, and all the way down on the arrival. Okay, these are, let's see, 20 left. So this is the minimum safe altitudes as well. Highest is 3,900. We'll make sure to keep that in mind. Okay, so let's brief the arrival as well, or the approach, sorry. So we got Bangkok, Thailand, ILS Zulu 20 left, page 21-4, effect or dated June 5th, 2026. Localizer code or identifier is ISWN, frequency 109.5, final approach course 105. Mandatory to cross the final approach 6 BS780 at 1,600 feet with an ILS DA of 290 feet and 650 meters with all runway lighting working. Touchdown zone elevation 4 feet. MSA if we need it, 3,900. Again, transition levels, flight level 130. No significant remarks, but there is independent authorization for simultaneous operations for runway 19. Anyways, regular at or above 5,000. Max 220 knots. Ramad at 3,500. Revmo at 3,000 feet. Mandatory VS780 at 1,600. Glide slope is going to be 3 degrees down to that DA of 290. There's a little caveat here with the letter 1, or the number 1. That here for aircraft, which can commence a missed approach climb gradient of 5% or 304 feet per nautical mile until passing 1,000. That is going to be no problem with this light 747 and whatnot. So, our decision out to 204 feet. So this is saying that we can actually have lower minimums if we can comply with that, which we can. So that means we can bring it down to 204 feet. So I'm going to do that in a sec. Visibilities with lights, 550 meters. Still, the visibility will still stay the same as, or actually it's 100 meters less, so it's 550 meters versus the 650 meters that the chart shows. It goes up to 750 meters when the touchdown zone or the center line lights are out, and a flight director or autopilot to HUD to DA is not used. Is when you would up your minimums to 750 for the visibility. If the approach lighting system is out, 1,200 is the meters as far as visibility is concerned, what you're going to be doing. Today nothing is out, so we're just doing whatever's published, 204 here. If we need to go around, or we're looking for actually a path, once we pop out, looking for a pathing on the left side, PALS Cat 1-2 approach lighting system here. In the event of a go around, we will fly the published MR as directed by the tower. Published miss is at the map, climb to DL20 left and turn right to BS601. Turn left to BS602, climb up to 3000. Turn left to BS603, turn left to BS605 at minimum altitude 5000. Then proceed to OB, DIP, op-dip at 5000 and hold as directed by DTC. No turn before the map, okay? For localizer only, we can do it since we're not going to be localizing. Refer to minimums for missed approach climb gradients, we already did. Here's some notes. Cross BS780, which is our final approach fix, between 150 and 160. Cross Revmo at 180. So 180 at Revmo, 160 or 150 at BS780. That's for traffic flow. That was a long briefing. In real life, I would spend a lot less on it. But anyways, runway 20 left. If we follow the glide slip, we will have 11,000. Call it 11,000 feet from the glide slope. Sorry, 11,069 feet. We'll plan a left turn off the runway. Not sure why we don't have the airport. Here it is, airport information. Left turn off the runway, so we'll plan to clear off at the first height, either Echo 9er or Echo 13. A level taxi, left turn on Delta or on Echo. Northbound on Echo, eventually make a right turn on Delta 8, 7, 6, 5, or even 4, then northbound on Delta to the cargo terminal. A couple hotspots to worry about. We got hotspot number 3, hotspot number 1. So let's review that. Hotspot 3 and 1. Hotspot 3, possible misidentification of the rapid exit taxiway when instructed by ATC to vacate 20 left via Echo 13. Pilot should ensure that vacating on incorrect rapid exit. So make sure all eyes are outside. Make sure we're turning left off of the correct rapid exit taxiway at Hotspot 1 is due to several intersections around this area which connect to the high-speed taxiways. All aircraft are required to hold as instructed by air traffic control at intermediate holding position. Parking lights taxiing from Delta 8 to Echo for runway 02 right requires a 90-degree turn. Pilots should be aware of unintentionally executing a runway incursion through Echo 12. So we'll make sure we don't bust that. Echo 12 here. Which we probably won't because we're going to clear an Echo 9er or it could happen, I guess. Echo 9er, Echo 13. So just confusing taxiway, eyes outside. Everybody's eyeballs outside to make sure we're on the right taxiway. Anyways, too much talking. There was some briefing stuff I wanted to look at. Radio communication failure coming into Bangkok. So we actually already talked about this for the approach, or the arrival that we're doing. So this is just a recap of what that is. And then a continuation of that on here. So I assume that on every approach if we have a lost communications, we're just going to execute the published missed. But it just tells you in here, if you didn't know it already, pilot shall set transponder 76, okay? And fly to or proceed direct to, in case of vectoring, the appropriate approach holding point at the minimum holding altitude and hold. So that's for the missed approach point, or a missed approach. So if we're on a vector, then that's, if we lose communication on a vector, just go to that, direct to the appropriate approach holding point, blah, 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 right? Pilot shall complete one holding, then start commencing an appropriate approach procedure and landing direction in accordance with paragraph 2, 2, 4, below, blah, blah, blah. Pilot shall descend and maintain 3,500 and proceed direct to an intermediate fix, or IF,
after the intermediate fix, continue to the appropriate, or continue to commence an appropriate approach procedure. So, all stuff that's obvious that we would be doing already. And we already know what our missed approach is, right? Let's look at that real quick one more time. So this is the textual description of what the missed approach is right here. But here's the plan view of it. So missed approach point, just apply this all the way to BS601, BS602, and it'll tell you your max speed at that point, max altitude. You'll probably cross it right at 3. And none of these are flyover points except for the missed approach point, of course, because there's a circle around it and wants you to fly directly over it. Makes sense. Including BS781. So this is the missed approach point, actually, BS781. There's a circle around it indicating that it's a flyover waypoint. Same thing with the departure end of 20 left that wants you to fly over that as well. Fly over waypoint with a circle around the RNF fix. So then BS603, maximum 3,000, still at 3, right? And northbound on a track of 015 or a course of 015 to BS605. Now we can climb, at this stage we can climb from 3 up to 5,000. So we'll stay at 5 here. And then we're continuing the hold. Rich is, this is a standard hold. And we know it's standard because it's right turns. Left turns would be non-standard. So this right here, max 230 knots. And 5,000, minimum holding altitude of 5,000. So it's obdip, and I would check in the FMC to make sure that it actually checks out, right? 015 is the inbound course, 015 to obdip and right turns. So I'll just show you what that looks like. Here, click hold, 015. So it doesn't actually, okay, so it does say it correctly. But it says it in the terms of radial. So the obvious, what's the reciprocal of 015? You could even look at it, it'll tell you right here. 195, you see that? So we're holding south of obdip. And 195 is the radial, so and then it's right turns. And it doesn't specify how long the legs need to be. Standard is 1 minute, so and it does tell you right here. So right here. So here's your quadrant, 195 radial, south, holding south of this quadrant, inbound course, 015 right turns, make sure that is correct, and standard leg time 1 minute. I'll even show you right here, make sure obdip 5,000, okay, 016 to obdip. Anyways, I'm sure you guys already all knew that anyway, so I'm not going to spend any time on it. Any more additional time on it, rather. So the reason we're not going to land on 20 right is because I'm using default, and we don't have 20 right. So 20 left it is. Sorry if that was a little confusing. So we can even look at more of the briefing because we last left off at the radio communication failure, which we already talked about. Consider us well briefed on that. But then more arrival information, right? They don't want you to be on the runway for a long period of time, so it says minimum runway occupancy times, meaning we shall be strictly applied in order to achieve the highest possible rate of arrival departures. So they want to get as many planes in and out of Bangkok as humanly possible. So they want us to stay on the runway the least amount of time possible. So that's just telling us don't stay on there very long. So pilots are reminded that rapid exit from the landing runway enables ATC to apply a minimum separating or spacing on final approach that will achieve maximum runway utilization and will minimize the occurrence of go-arounds. Cool.
Reduce communication workload. To reduce communication workload, additional arrival control frequency 126.3 shall be established and used during the congested traffic periods. So they're just going to have an added arrival frequency that people are going to use, so that way they can reduce the amount of congestion on frequency. The control of arriving aircraft shall be transferred from arrival control frequency 121.1 to arrival control frequency 12.6, and that'll be your final frequency. And that should be notated here on the approach chart as well. So if we go to the ILS 20 left, 26.3, probably be up here somewhere, so, or I guess not. There it is, actually, yes. The arrival, 126.3, that's just one of the frequencies they could be using if traffic is very congested, and then 121.1. That'll be the first frequency you talk to, and the second one will be the 26.3, and then it could be any of these. So, the tower, since we're landing on 20 left, it's going to be on 19.0. They have all kinds of ground frequencies that should be on the airport approach information, or the airport diagram. Here it is. There's all the frequencies as well. And so we're going to taxi into the cargo terminal. So let's actually welcome aboard FAA, Mr. Michael. Hey, I got my hands up. You can arrest me now. We're over here violating all these bars. Just kidding. For parking positions, see parking stands and coordinates on the west apron. So we're going to park on the west apron, and I think that'll even show the frequency that apron is using. So I'm going to bring that up. Here's the west apron, so over in front of me. Alright. Bangkok, Thailand. We're going to actually taxi in spot 515, or Bay 515. There's our ground control frequency for this specific ramp area, or this apron, 121.95. So we're going to be expecting to taxi northbound on taxiway Delta. Then we'll make a right turn into bay number 515, or stand 515. Here's your coordinates for that, to cross-check with your IRS, your alignment, if you have to do it when you're leaving. Alright, and then it also says over here, ground controls on 121.75. Over in this area. So there's a separation between 121.95 and 121.75. There you go. I thought there would be a notation. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, 121.95, that's all here. That's with this apron here, the west apron, this is all 121.95, and then this apron here, main apron is 121.75. That's where you'd find more details on that. It's just in the parking stand, the apron position charts. That covers everything that I wanted to talk about. Alright, the other one. High intensity runway operations shall be strictly applied in accordance to achieve the highest possible. Okay, we talked about that. But yada yada yada. Alright, remarks. Distance to turn off is the distance of the respective runway to the turn off intersection. So, runway, what does this mean here? Let's see. Because we're not going to land on 20 right, so. Alright, so 20 right. We'll just cover it. Okay. After landing on 20 right, aircraft shall not stop on rapid exit taxiway to await instructions from ATC, but should continue taxi via the following procedures unless otherwise directed by air traffic control. So
what do they want us to do? They say all aircraft should continue to taxi to Foxtrot and Zulu, then hold short of 20 left. So Foxtrot, Zulu, hold short of 20 left. Alright, so Foxtrot, Zulu. So here's Foxtrot. This long taxiway here is Foxtrot. Here's taxiway Zulu. So they are just telling you that you can taxi, using this taxiway here, and you can make a right turn onto Zulu, but you got to hold short of the runway. What it's telling you that you should not do is clear the runway. For example, clear the runway here at Foxtrot 5 and stop. Don't stop here. Clear the runway, right? At least clear the runway. You can ask questions later. Clear the runway, and then you can continue on Foxtrot and hold short of Zulu. That's what that's saying. Unless they tell you to do something else. So if they don't tell you to do anything, just do that. But if they tell you to do something else, then just do what they tell you. Alright, next, 20 right, remain on tower frequency, 119.90, right, megahertz. Explicit runway crossing clearance required. Do not cross the runway without clearance. Notice how it clears you to taxi Foxtrot and Zulu, but doesn't say anything about crossing a runway, right? Don't cross the runways unless ATC tells you. Rule number 1, that used to happen in LA, that happens in LA sometimes, where airplanes will land on 24 right and they'll make a left turn off the runway, and they'll cross 24 left without a clearance, right? It's very, there's a lot of congestion on the radio, right? There's a lot going on. You want to clear the runways as fast as possible. There's an airplane behind you on short final. A lot going on, right? But just clear the runway first, then stop. Or in the case of Honolulu, where you actually are, in order to hold short of the, so it's landing on 4 right, in order to hold short of 4 left, you actually have to remain on 4 right still. Because the taxiway between the runways is such a short taxiway. The runways are so close together that there's not enough room to taxi off of 4 right and hold short of 4 left. You're just holding short of 4 left while staying on 4 right. Or at least part of the airplane's going to be on 4 right still. And they have a hotspot there as well, which is, again, what these are used for. The way that I think of these hotspots, that stands for hotspot number 5, hotspot number 3, hotspot number 1. These are just areas of confusion for a lot of pilots, and they're definitely areas that have had issues or where pilots have made mistakes in the past. Where they've, in this case, there's a lot of taxiways here, right? So it's easy to make a wrong turn somewhere, or maybe you don't make a turn and you end up on, almost crossing this runway, or you end up crossing, right? Not cool. That's why these need to be briefed heavily before you even come in or go out of the airplane. Sorry guys, I know I'm just rambling, but talking makes the time go by faster, so. So we're about to cross into the Ho Chi Minh FIR, that's what this is. Here, after we pass RESI, probably a few miles afterwards, 20 miles, I don't know. This is 82 miles between, I think this is between RESI and Messox. So, meaning the middle point is 41 nautical miles, so this is probably around 25-30 miles after RESI is when we're going to cross that boundary between the Manila FIR and the Ho Chi Minh FIR. But, alright, I think we briefed everything pretty heavily. I'd say we're in a good position for executing an arrival and approach without having too many issues. What else do I want to talk about? Some of the terminology, some of the
terminology that's specific to Asia that you will not hear in the United States, which is where I fly as an airline pilot currently. These: target off block time, target startup approval time, and calculated takeoff time. These are terms that are significantly used in Asia, and it'll tell you what the definitions are here, because we don't use those terms in the United States, but you need to be briefed on it and know what they mean if you're going in and out of Asia. And it's not just Asia too. I think Europe uses a version of this too as well, if not the exact version. I think London does. I know London does. But, yeah. Gives you a pretty good visual representation of when the process, what the process should be, from your TOBIT to your TSAT, and then your pushback and taxi process, which your pushback needs to be requested plus or minus 5 minutes of your TSAT. And, obviously, because your request is your target startup approval time, right? So, anyways, enough of that. Just rambling at this point. Which I don't even know if the airplane in X-Plane here is even going to have this ILS in here. 1095, 195. It might not. Usually it would be right here on the nav, this nav radio page, or nav radio page. We'll see. I mean, if the weather's good, we'll just fly it visually LNAV, VNAV all the way down. But that would be semi-appropriate if it was a localizer approach. So we'll just keep the minimums right at 290. We could change it to 204, but we don't really need it. I mean, we'll double check the weather, right? We'll double check it right now, actually. So your weather here, according to your METAR, is issued on the 8th at 0600 Zulu time. Winds 120 at 11 knots out of the southwest at 11 knots. Winds are variable between 180 and 250. So the winds are variable between those cardinal directions. Visibility 9999, meaning it's greater than 6 kilometers. Few clouds at 020, meaning few clouds at 2,000 feet. Temperature is 333 Celsius, dew point is 22 degrees Celsius. QNH 1008, measured in hectopascals or millibars. They're both the same unit. NOSIG means no significant weather. We're in a good spot. Weather looks great, so we should be able to execute the visual if we so choose. But here's the say intentions AI departure or ATIS. This is kind of confusing because I don't think these runways even exist there. 2-1 left, 2-1 right. Interesting. I think that was a typo. Here's your TAF. This is what you'd use for flight planning purposes, right? Our arrival time right now is projected to be, we're projected to touch down at 8:05 Zulu, 8:05 Z. Which is how much time from now? About an hour and a half or so. So at 0800 Zulu, which TAF would we use for planning purposes? Let's see. Right here. 210 at 8. Good visibility. Few clouds at 2,000, which happens to be what the METAR is right now. Yeah, so this is what this means here. This was issued, this TAF, what this stands for is Terminal Aerodrome Forecast. What this means is it was issued on the 8th at 0500 Zulu time, which goes off of Greenwich, England, or Greenwich, England. Aviation, we use one set time zone for everything. That's what Zulu time is. It just makes it a lot easier for planning and for keeping everybody on the same page. The airplane, the time and the clocks are all Zulu time here. But okay, this was issued on the 8th at 0500 Zulu. It's valid from the 8th at 0600 Zulu time to the 9th at 1200 Zulu. So what that tells me is 24 plus 6. This is a 30-hour valid time. This is a 30-hour validity between this point, telling us that the weather is going to be this during these periods. But temporarily, in this, the weather is going to be. You're going to have some storms in there. So temporarily for the next, right, from the 8th at 10 o'clock Zulu to the 8th at 1400 Zulu, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This is valid for 4 hours between this point. The winds are going to be variable at 15 knots. Visibility in meters is going to be 4,000 meters. TS stands for thunderstorm. RA stands for moderate rain showers. Or sorry, moderate rain, not showers. Few clouds at 018, meaning 1,800 feet. CB, bad news, cumulonimbus clouds, right? Scattered clouds at 030, meaning 3,000 feet. Broken at 100, what does that mean? Broken clouds at 10,000 feet is what the weather is projected to be for this 4-hour period on the 8th Zulu time. Becoming, what are the winds becoming? On the 8th at 1400, so from 1400 to 1600, so 2 hours now, the wind is actually going to be projected to be 2708 knots. Temporarily, on the 9th, between 8 to the 9th at 12, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, also 4 hours, right? Because these temporarily for 4 hours, the winds are going to be variable at 15, gusting to 5 knots. Meters, your visibility in meters, 4,000 meters. Thunderstorms, rain, it's the same. It's the same as what this was above. So, and 4,000 meters, what is that in feet? A little under a mile. A mile is disregard. Scratch that. It's actually, let's see, I thought we had a conversion chart in here. Let me pull it up because we don't always have the conversions readily available either, except in our case. Okay, so 4,000 meters to feet is roughly 2.5 miles, give or take, or roughly 13,000 feet. So visibility is projected to be about, we'll call it 2 miles. How about that? If you're on the lower end, so about 2 miles of visibility, 2 statute miles. This wasn't particularly a complicated one, but just to go through what they actually mean. One thing we did not cover on the approach is this stuff. I guess this would be a restricted area, so don't go into here. So, follow the track inbound. Highest obstacle also is on the airport property at 481 feet, indicated by this black check mark. That's the highest obstacle in this approach track. But it doesn't really specify too much on that, so I'd say we're fine. they're not going to shoot you down if you go through that like they would if, in Korea. You know, heading towards North Korea. Or South Korea, heading towards North Korea. But, yeah, projected taxi right back is going to be, we're going to clear the runway, probably Echo 13, taxi off on Juliet, make a left turn onto, make a left turn onto Echo, and then right turn onto Hotel, left turn on Delta. And we'll actually mark that, so we don't forget it. So let's mark it down. Right here. Hotel, Delta. Oops. Hotel, Delta, northbound. A squiggly green line, but right where the hotspot is. Eyes outside on hotspot 1, right? Probably would monitor our fuel here, so. So the 747 is one of those airplanes where you really have to monitor the fuel, because if you see how the fuel tanks are, these are the tanks, right? So we can't fit as much fuel in main tank 1 or main tank 4, so we usually have to fill up a lot more fuel in main tanks 2 and 3, and we end up burning more. We want to burn more from the main tank 2 and 3 until it's equalized with 2 and 1 are equalized, and 3 and 4 are equalized.
So Boeing has some override pumps that we use so that way it forces us to feed from main tank 2 and main tank 3 first, which if you look on the overhead panel, here's override tank for main 2, right? Override forward and aft, override for main tank 2, and then forward and aft for override main tank 3. So that forces the fuel to feed from main tanks 2 and main tanks 1 until we don't change anything until a ICAS message pops up on here. It says fuel tank to engine. And what that means is that the fuel in main tanks 2 and fuel in main tanks 1 are now about the same, plus or minus a certain amount. I forget what that amount is, but or main tank 3 and 4 are roughly around the same. And all you got to do is, now you don't need to burn from main tanks 2 and 3. You can make each engine burn from its own respective tank. So what we do is we turn off the override pumps and turn the cross feed 1 for engine 1 and cross feed 4 off. So that now the airplane should burn from each of its respective tanks. And I can show you what that looks like here. So we turn off the overrides, right? Overrides for 2 and override for 3. And then we close the cross feed valves for 1 and 4. Now each engine is burning from its own respective tank, meaning this 4.7 that's in main tank 1 and 4, that's going to start to go down because this main tank 1, see there it is, 4.6. So, and we don't want that, right? We don't want to burn all the fuel in the tank and then now we have nothing. And then an ICAS message will be associated with that cross feed configuration. So cross feed valve open, valves open for 1 and 4, and then override pumps back on for main tanks 2 and main tanks 3. And now that ICAS message goes away, and now we're in the position where you can see we closed it off. So this fuel is not coming out of main tank 1 or 4 because it's not green right here, right? So the green is just where the fuel is being fed from. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So this just means that this green is being fed from the main tanks 2 and engine 1 is being fed from main tank 2. Engine 4 is being fed from main tank 3. But it'll come off in probably 15 minutes or so. That fuel tank to engine will come on, and we can demonstrate how to fix that, or how to configure the fuel pumps appropriately at that point. We got some traffic over here. About 40 miles to our 2 o'clock position. We can look at them on here. I'll just turn the VATSIM traffic on right here. So turn VATSIM on. Live traffic. Here's that traffic. We wanted to know more details on it. Click on the traffic. It's Cathay 729. Pilot's name and the aircraft type. We're flying at A321neo, flying from Hong Kong to, not sure where that is, Indonesia, I think. Is that Jakarta? I'm not sure. But give you their details. They're at 340, so we're at the same altitude. So this could be a problem, right? So we may actually have to climb because we may get a TCAS RA if we continue on this trajectory. will, so we're going to climb up here. I'm going to get rid of traffic down here. Loads and loads. A little better. We could even zoom in a little more. There it is. So what we'll do is we're going to climb up to 38,000 feet. Because we can. Alright. So what I'm going to do is, I got 380 in there. Let's select our altitude, 380 for cruise. There it is. Now the airplane's going to climb. Or reduce the Mach number so we can start climbing. Airplane's getting awfully close to that. I'm not like that at all. We know that we can climb up to 380 because we're really light. But, okay, autopilot's coming on. Because it's going to overspeed it. We don't. Look at this crazy climb rate. We don't need to climb that fast. It's okay that I'm hand flying. I don't really like having to hand fly this during times where we really need the autopilot working correctly. Alright, 37 for 38. Speed and being at that. Oh, really for that down. Sorry. Command R. Autopilot's on. Speed back up here. Alright, so now we're not going to be in conflict with that traffic. Because we're well above it now. So they shouldn't have to worry about us either.
Alright, that traffic is crossing us now. Take a look closer. And yeah, we'd be pretty close in conflict there. And they're going to Kuala Lumpur, by the way, not to Jakarta. Might be able to see them here in a sec. There they are. Traffic in sight. They look like they're a Virgin America A320. That's not right. That doesn't look like a Cathay Pacific to me. Oh well. If one of us did not do anything, we would have came within 5 miles of this airplane. And when you're cruising at 34,000 feet at 526 knots, that is very, very close. Yeah, look at that, even closer, 4 miles. 3 miles, look at that. There's your airplane below us. How close we'll get to them. About 2.5 miles is how close we can get to them. Wow. Situational awareness. It's always key, right? Alright, I'm good with that. Okay, we're about to come over Vietnam.
Alright guys, I'm going to take a quick leak, and airplane should be complaining here pretty soon, now that main tanks 2 and 3 are start to get closer to what the quantity is in 1 and 4. So once that happens, the airplane will come up with the ICAS, that fuel tank nation, and we'll demonstrate how to fix that. Alrighty. I think my voice might be too quiet for the video. Trying to listen in and see. Yeah, it's a little quiet. What if I turn it up just a smidge? Desktop audio. The mic is already in full blast. Desktop audio. Let's see if does that work better? Let's see. Testing 1, 2.
Okay, that works a lot better, I think. Hey, how come nobody said something? Okay, alright. We're back in the plane. I had to get a grape power raid. Show of hands who likes grape power raid. I don't think that's a very common one that people like, but actually it's starting to grow on me, to be honest. Let's drink some of that. Okay, so because we're at 38, we can't even go up to 0.90. I'm just gonna bring this back to 0.89. Too much bank. Hey, what's up, man? I don't know if I have a side view exactly. This is the best I got right now. Side view. I'll have to set one up. Here's a dreaded message that everyone gets confused about. Fuel tank to engine. So what that means is that everything is equal now. Main tanks 1, main tanks 2, main tanks 3, and main tanks 4. So now we want each tank to burn from its respective tank. So what we'll do is we'll turn the overrides off. Override pumps for engine for main tanks 3 and override forward and aft for main tank 2. Turn those off and turn fuel cross speed 1, fuel cross speed 4 off. There goes your light, your ECAS, gone. Now each tank is burning from its respective, each engine is burning from its own respective tank by the green line going through there. Main tank 1 is feeding engine 1, main tank 2 is feeding engine 2, and main tank 3 is feeding engine 3, and main tank 4 is feeding engine 4. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. There's your wing back there. There might be a way for me to walk back there. Let's see. Can I walk back here? Not simulated. But here it is. Looks kind of cool, huh? Let's see. Yeah, normally what would be right here on the 747 is so here's the cockpit, right? Come out of the cockpit. Right here on the immediate right on the freighters would be the right here where the galley is, where the oven is, and the fridges and stuff where all the food is right here. Got a little light to work on all that stuff. Bathroom is just right across right here. And you got like 4 first class seats right here on the 400s, and you have I think 8 is on the dash 8 first class seats, and then straight back is the bunks. The door is exactly where it is. There'd be a ladder down there. But yeah, come in the cockpit. Got your jump seat here, 2 jump seats. This is my seat whenever I jump seat on them. But yes, it is. It looks like the back rooms are. Where's Captain Clark? Captain Clark is our captain today, right? Yeah, so. Anyways, nothing too crazy. Thank you. I like the 7.4. 7.4 is a cool plane. This add-on is okay, but I wish the autopilot would do what I tell it to do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I've been having issues with it today, so. Alright, now we can see that, hey, the fuel quantity is going down now for each tank, so it's burning as we expect it to be burning. The fuel pumps are configured correctly. Yeah, we can do a barrel roll. Just do a nice aileron roll to the left. God knows the 7.4 can do it, right? Increase that load factor on the wings. Go fly under a bridge too. Let's go fly under a bridge. Let's see. Yeah, so we're still in flying over. We crossed into Vietnam. I'm not sure where we are now, but let's see. World map. We're over Cambodia, looks like. I've always wanted to go to Phnom Penh. I'll check that place out one of these times, because Atlas does fly to Phnom Penh. They do fly there. They fly to Phnom Penh, and they fly to Hanoi. I was just there a few months ago in Hanoi. I did Hanoi to Hong Kong to Anchorage, Alaska. Then Anchorage to... Was I going? I think I might have been going to Honolulu. Either Anchorage to Honolulu or is Anchorage to Portland, Oregon. And then down to San Diego. So we briefed everything already. Everything's already briefed early. Got the arrival squared away. Let's do another check of the weather. Oh, METAR. Okay, now it's 220 at 12. Visibility greater than 6 kilometers, or 9,999 meters. Few clouds at 2,000, temperature 33, dew point 22, QNH 1008. No significant weather. So 1008, I'm actually going to plug that in to the standby here. There it is. Now it's in there, 1008. So it'll be ready to switch over. There it is. They should be synced together, but they're not. So. Well, clearly you don't need a whole lot because my computer sucks, but I got an old computer. This one's from like 10 years ago. I'm gonna get a new one eventually because I'd rather run Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 with higher graphics settings. But since my computer is not the greatest, I'm stuck with limited performance capability. Yeah, if I show you PC specs, it's nothing special at all. Right here. That's what it is. Old stuff, man. Old stuff. What's crack-a-lackin'? 3:30 in the morning for you. What are you doing up? Good morning. It's 3:30 in the morning for you, and it's 12:30 at night for me. I'm not super familiar with the fighter jets. I'm only familiar with the airline world. But it would be pretty sick to fly a F-18 or an F-16 or I don't know, maybe even a F-35 or F-22 Raptor would be cool. We see a lot of those in Honolulu. A lot of Raptors, and sometimes F-16s as well. Please subscribe to my channel. I could use an extra subscriber or two. Yeah, eventually we'll get a new PC. Not sure when, not sure where, not sure how. But it'll happen eventually, so. Alright, here's live traffic. We got more traffic coming. Actually, no factor, this guy right here. EVA 076 from Bangkok to Taipei. No factor for us. Turn the live traffic off. We've been getting pretty good tailwind, mostly. 531 knots ground speed. It's not horrible. Could be worse. Let's put it that way. Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. What is our first altitude restriction on the arrival? Tunga at or below flight level 180. And we will cross it at 180. So let's do some math. How do we calculate where our top of descent is going to be? If we need to cross Tunga at or below 180, we'll say we cross it at 180. Well, we can do easy math, right? How much altitude do we need to lose? What's our current altitude? Flight level 380, 38,000 feet, right? And the altitude we need to be at is 18,000. So what's the difference there? Just get rid of the zeros. 38 minus 18, 20, right? Times that by 3. What's 20 times 3? 2, 4, 6, right? 60, 60. 60 miles from Tunga is when we need to begin our descent down to 18,000 feet. So 60, right, minus 22, because there's 22 nautical miles from Tunga to Gomez. So that'll be 30, what is that, 38? So that means 38 nautical miles from Gomez is when we need to start our descent. How many miles is there between Gomez and DULEM? 42.9. So if we start our descent right at DULEM, is that hurting us? Nah, not really. That should be fine. But if we do it at 38 nautical miles from DULEM, that's also fine too. That's about where we would calculate our top of descent manually. And does it check out? Does it right after DULEM? Does that check out? Let's see. What does our ND say where our top of descent is? It says it's before, so this is slightly ahead of where that is. But so what we'll do is we'll just let the airplane fly the VNAV path all the way down, because This might be taken into consideration, the slowing on the arrival as well to 280 for 288 Tunga. But if we did it at 38 miles from Gomez, our vertical speed, we have to consistently change our vertical speed on the descent, right? So in this case, take our ground speed, divide it by 2, and then add a 0. So we'll call it 52, or we'll call it 53 divided by 2. What is that? We'll call it 26, right? 26, 2600, and we add a 0, so 2600 feet to that. Or add 2 zeros, I guess. 2600 feet is what we'd want our descent rate to be down at this current speed. So half of the ground speed, add a 0. That's what I base. So if we're at 500 knots, for example, ground speed. What's half of 500? 250. Add a 0. 2,500 feet a minute. Or if we're at 480, what's half of 480? 240, right? 2,400 feet per minute. What's half of 460? What is that? $230. Add a 0, right? 2,300. And you get the gist. If we're at 200 knots, half of that, 100. Add a 0, 1,000 feet per minute. And that will keep us on a roughly a 3-degree descent path on the arrival. That's the way I do it without having to do any mental math numbers in my brain, because Lord knows I can't do math in public. So these rule of thumb type calculations that you can do in your brain, they do make it a lot easier. We are almost to the top of descent. If that's true, man, that's insane that happened. Talk about a hell of a way to go, right? Sorry guys, I know we haven't used any checklists at all this whole flight. I'm just lazy. Don't do that in the real world, okay? Always use checklists. Because you could be the best pilot in the world and forget one thing, right? Plus, I mean, the 7.4, if we do the descent checklist, usually 50 miles from TDs when that'll get done. It's pretty good. That's when you start the briefings, all that stuff, whatever, right? That would be, the descent checklist calls for the recall, right? So we'll check that, recall. Any airplane will check for anything weird going on, and it'll come back as normal. If something's not normal, it'll pop up with an ICAS message, or ICAS message. Auto brake. I never usually use auto brakes, but you have different settings, right? Auto brake 1, 2, 3, 4, and max. Some airlines prohibit you from using auto brake 1, so it's usually 2, 3, or 4. I'm not going to use auto brakes, but personal preference. Check our V speeds coming in. We're going to do a flaps 25 landing, which means our VREP is going to be 134. Add 5 knots for wind correction on that. 135. 134, 139 is your VREF, and your minimums, I'm just going to keep it at 290, which we have set here. It would normally say Barrow 290. In the approach briefing, we did that a long time ago. I could do it again. I'll do it again just for the sake of doing it again. Alright, if you want to keep an approach briefing to less than 30 seconds, here we go. Alright, we're playing Bangkok, Thailand, ILS 20 left, page 21-4, dated June 5th, 2026. Localizer, identifier ISWN, frequency 1095, on approach course 195, across BS780 at 1600 with an ILS DA of 290. Cross touchdown zone elevation 4 feet, minimum safe altitude 30 to 900 feet, rigor at max 220, at above 5,000, rum side at above 3,500, or remod. Revmo at above 3,000, mandatory 780, BS 780 at 1600, 3-degree path, DA 290, path on the left side, PALS, Cat 2 approach lighting system. Go around, fly the published mist as directed by the entire published mist. At mist approach, climb 2D, approach run 20 left, right turn to BS 601, BS 602, at 210 max 3000, BS 603 max 3000, up to 5000 BS 605. Hold it, OB dip 5000 max 230. Highest obstacle 481. Any questions? That would basically cover everything except, you know, maybe some speed control stuff and your landing distance available, which you could throw that in there, right? Landing distance available 11,069 feet. Plenty of runway for us. Yeah, man, the Orlando video is, I didn't really realize it was at 4,000. That's cool. That's pretty good. That's not too bad, right? That's probably the most views I've gotten on a video. Honestly, I don't even keep track. I don't even check. Orlando. Update is 1007 for hectopascals. Sign to come back, huh? Back to Orlando. Hey, let's come back to Orlando in the 7.4. How about that? A little bit more comfortable of a ride. Meet me in Dallas in 2 weeks, dude. I can't, man. I gotta go back to work on the 13th. I wish I'd be down, man, but workflow, bro. So we ended up burning so much more fuel on this flight. So we were supposed to be, if you check the release, look at this, right? So we were supposed to be touching down in Bangkok with 14,900 kilos of fuel. What are we at now? 14.6. We're going to touch down with 11.6. 3,000 kilos less than what we were supposed to. You know why that? You know why that is, right? So we planned on a release. We planned for flight level 400. But what did we end up getting assigned? They ended up assigning us flight level 340, right? Remember that? So we burned up a lot more fuel than we thought. So let's actually see if, because usually there'll be some caveats in here. Okay, altitude meters. Why is this in meters? What is 2,000? Let's see what this is in meters. Can somebody tell me what 34,000 feet in meters is? $863 meters. So I don't really know what this means. 2,000 and 4,000. Because we do everything in feet. I don't know. I'm kind of confused by this. If somebody could tell me what this means. Because normally the conversion is feet. Because we cruise at flight levels. At flight level, you know, like 380 for example. So what is our altitude in meters? So it's here, level 400. Altitude. Alright, so there it is, 400. Yeah, I'm not sure, I don't know. So if we were lower though, it might just mean, I don't know, 2,400 pounds more, or 24 kilos more than what we projected, I guess. I mean, but that's the reason though, is we ended up burning so much more fuel was because we were assigned 340 because that specific airway was limiting. They wouldn't let us go higher than that, which is fine, but all things you got to consider, right? Call dispatch, get a re-release. Plan for a new cruising altitude, which will then give you a new fuel burn, all that stuff. So it says that our TD is way earlier than I thought it would be. So 11 miles? No, I don't think so. We're gonna hold off on top of descent for a little bit because it's gonna have us descend way too early. How's our fuel looking? 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, perfect. Reset MCP altitude. No, we're gonna stay here for now. And we're gonna descend at DULEM. Right, remember we did our calculation, 38 miles from Gomez is when we'd start our descent down on the arrival. There's no ATC that is online at the moment for Bangkok, unfortunately. Man, this great power rate is good. It's hitting the spot, I'll tell you that. I will tell you that. I like to limit the bank angle to 15 degrees at cruise. Right now, if we put it on auto, yeah, so 15, right there in the top, facing the top. I like that. Alright, start our top of descent now. Down to 18. I'm gonna start slowing. Vertical speed. 2600. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. Oh well. Alright, so the airplane's actually doing it. Perfect. So what we'll do is we'll descend right at 280. I'm at 280 now. Because the arrival calls for it at Tumga anyway. Tumga. I mean, we could blast. We could blast right through coming in, you know. But that's all right. We'll do 18. Okay, so we're descending at roughly 2,400 feet per minute, which I have set. We want to cross Tumga at flight level 180. Oops. Flight level 180. There's Tumga. There's the banana. The green banana. That's roughly where we're going to hit 18,000 feet. So. Alright, reduce this down to 2,400 feet per minute. How far are we from Bangkok? We are 73 miles. Bangkok traffic, Giant 7581, 70 miles to the east, descending via the Tumga 1 Charlie arrival for runway 20 left, descending out of flight level 330, Bangkok traffic. Reduce this. Yeah, it says on our VNAV profile that we're 7,000 feet low. Would have kept us super high if we stayed there. No thanks. Alright, remember what the transition level was? Flight level 130. Can't forget that. It's when we transition from pressure altitude to your altitude above sea level. To meet MSA or MSL. (242). We'll do 20 degrees of bank. I'd say that's fine. Alright, so Tumga, we gotta cross it at 18, right? So how much altitude do we need to lose to get to 18? Let's call it 25 minus 18, or what's the difference there? 5, 6, 7, so that's 7 times 3. 21 miles. We're right on track here. 21 miles from Tumga. We are right on our 3-degree path that we've calculated. Now we're at 4, 5, 6, so 6 times 3 is 18. We're still on our path here. We could even increase the rate of descent a little more. What should we be? What do we want our DME distance to be at 23,000? The difference there that we want to lose, right? 3, 4, 5, so 5 times 3, 15 miles. So right at 23,000 feet, or level 230, we're hitting 15 nautical miles from Tumga. Still on our 3-degree path. Might want to increase a little more. Still maintain our 280 knots coming in. So it looks like we have our localizer identified already. ISW1 should be on. There it is. Perfect. 1095. There it is. I like that. Alright, so 22, so 4,000 miles, 4 times 3 is 12. A little bit behind on our track, so maybe descend a little faster. So how many, so if we're at 3,000 feet from 18, so 3 times 3 is 9. So we want to make sure that we're crossing at 21, right at 9. So we're still slightly high. Or almost on our path, but oh, it's because we're only descending at 2,000 feet a minute, that's why. What if we go flight level change? There we go. Or maybe not. Airplane's not pitching over quite what I want to do. That's okay. We're still kind of on track. Vertical speed. Tumga, so we're slightly high at Tumga, that's okay. Now we'll continue down to 9,000. It stopped for some reason. Alright, 18,000 feet. Ours come on. These usually don't come on until cleared for the approach. This doesn't come on until clear to land. But I'm going to forget, so I'm going to turn those all on now. We don't need to descend that fast, so. Actually, I think we do, actually. Slow to 250 knots. Got that X-plane default scenery, right? Looks like Bangkok 40, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Probably longer than that, actually. So this is what Bangkok looked like 100 years ago. Alright, we're going a little fast, so I'm gonna take the boards out. There we go. I'm gonna arm it now. Alright, so we're both below flight level 130, right? We can hit standard 1007 on both sides. Oops. There it is. .000 feet. $10,000. Approach checklist just confirms QNH 1007. Okay, airport site. Again, we're just using the default scenery for X-Plane 11, so we don't have runway 20 right, which is why we are going to be landing on 20 left instead. Alright, let's start coming down. Vertical speed. Slow to 220. Alright, move up at 220, so we're slowing there now. S-Gen at above 5,000. Alright, we can descend a little slower. Bangkok traffic, Giant 7581 heavy left, downwind runway 20 left, Bangkok. Alright, S-Gen above 5,000. Switch over to the ILS 20 left. Slow to the upbug. Flaps 1. Room mod 3,500. Heading mode. Heading 280. Actually 290. Flaps 5 degrees. Not sure why that's not working. LOL. Okay, what's our speed control again? 180 till REVMO. So flaps 10 degrees. Alright, approach mode armed. Not sure why they did that, so we're not going to do that. Okay, localizer capture. Okay, alright. Even though we're not captured yet. We'll rearm when we're captured, or coming up on capture. Okay, it's already. Enable RMP, okay. What's up is capturing. Bangkok traffic, Giant 7581 heavy, 12 mile final, 20 left, Bangkok. Alright, Mr. Approach altitude is set. You're down. Autopilot disconnected. Flaps 20.
2500.
Flaps 25, landing checklist.
Positive rate.
Thanks for calling that out. Alright. Hand flying it in from here on. .138 seems a little fast, huh? Alright, BS780 at 1600. I'm gonna slow down to 133. Actual VREF, not VTarget. Thousand feet airspeed, 134, sync rate, 1000.
Glide slope.
Low
Glide
correcting.
slope. Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope.
Man, we're only 1 dot low.
Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide
We're
slope.
on the Pappies, so disregard that. I was like, we're literally on the Pappies.
500. 400. Approaching minimum.
Going outside.
300.
Minimums, landing.
200. Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope.
I'm gonna dip below because we're
100. Glide slope.
glide slope's keeping us high.
Glide slope. Gliding. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Speed breaks up.
Extended, deployed.
Reverse is normal.
There you go, deployed now. Premature.
80 knots.
Alright, left turn here. Flaps up. Start our cool down time. Alright, continue left turn here. It's hotspot 1. All eyes outside the airplane to make a left turn onto... Or we're going to continue hotel, left turn onto Delta. Wish there's no taxiway signs. But this next one is Delta. Bangkok traffic, Giant 7581 heavy, clear of runway 20 left Bangkok. .515 will be after Delta 2, which is the approach end of 20 left, which is the next one. So that's Delta 2, or sorry, Echo, yeah, Delta 2 I guess, let's see. Yeah, Delta 3, Delta 2, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots to go. Cool down time. Okay, 11. Here's 12 right here. 12. Next is 13. Here's 14. 14, and the next one is 15, that's ours. Right here. 15, taxi light coming off. Clear, right, going right. Something tells me this spot is not big enough for a 7-4. Real life it is, but... stop right here. Okay, here we go. Brakes are set. APU is rolling. We connected bus. Sim won't let us, so. Engine's coming off. Pack 2 coming off. So 1, 2, 3, 4 aux. Fuel pumps. Beacon off. No transponder. Stand by. Oh, we forgot to turn the weather radar off. Oops. Now we're burning him. Everybody on the ground. AP Gen 1. Shocks are in. Ground power. Connect the bus. APU off. Doors open. How much gas do we have? 11.8. Not too bad. Oh, they opened up the top deck. It's not the one I wanted to open. Upper, close that. Let's see. Landing record 85 feet per minute. Not bad. Yeah, it seemed like when the localizer captured, it wanted to prematurely intercept the localizer, but it was like it wasn't intercepting anything. So that's why I turned off the autopilot. Yeah, I mean, it's realistic, I guess. Real plane has its issues too, so. Anyway, thank you guys for joining. We'll talk to you guys next time. We'll see you in the next one.